Hello. So, welcome to Trust Your Glitter. This is my tarot live stream. It is a little experiment I'm doing on live stream for the rest of September. So, I'm doing tarot cards live every day, just pulling just a couple of cards to work with the energies, flow with the energies, and kind of see what the messages are. So, today's tarot card readings are going to be with my handy dandy unicorn tarot cards that my friend Lady of the Lamps gave to me as a gift. And I'm very grateful. These cards have definitely come through in so many different readings, and I just love them. They have great messages. So I want to just kind of pull one card. I feel this card, to see what the energy is. And this is the 10 of Swords. This is about, we go through a lot of times of sacrifice. And in this particular case, the 10 of Swords is saying, yes, you definitely went through the trenches, and you can definitely, there's an exhaustion element to this card as well, the 10 of Swords. But with this card comes a renewal, a new beginning, and a new way of seeing things. It's a mental card because swords are all about our mindset. And so it's interesting because today in astrology, we have a connection called a cazimi or a conjunction, meaning two planets are directly aligned together between the planet Mercury and the sun in Virgo. So it's interesting because Mercury is in retrograde, meaning the energy is kind of in this backwards feeling, meaning that when we look at Mercury in the sky, based on the rotation of planet Earth, it looks like Mercury is going backwards. So on an energetic scale, this is like the energy of Mercury retrograde is about communication, is very mental swords energy. So it's interesting because the alignment of Mercury, the planet of our mind, the planet of our communication, our throat chakra, our voice, how we speak to ourselves, in retrograde meeting with the sun, the life force energy in the sky, in the sign of Virgo, which is about how we organize ourselves, how we organize our lives, how we kind of look at things on a day-to-day basis, our routines, our schedules. Even if it's like, hey, you're having hard times showing up for yourself in this specific capacity, the 10 of Swords is saying, hey, you're at the end of this cycle. And Mercury will be going direct, meaning that energy goes forward again on the 15th of September. And I think it's very helpful because, with the Mercury retrograde season, and if you have any sort of like processing things like dyslexia, dyspraxia, things like that, it could be heightened at this time. I definitely have been talking like backwards, writing things backwards. That's also Mercury retrograde as well, where these things are highlighted. And it's really asking us to slow our mind down, sit in our mental energy, and just sit in that capacity for ourselves and really appreciate slowing down, even though things around us can ask us to have pressure to speed up. There's a lot of pressure in society for us to like move constantly and quickly, especially when we're in Virgo season, where there's so much pressure to achieve. And they got the little Prince of Cups out, the Page of Cups. And this card is about expressing ourselves from an emotional place. So this is like we're sitting here in the absolute truth of our heart. And that's not easy when we live in a world that wants us to look a certain way. The algorithm is tailored to certain things, and yet we're still showing up for our work in a specific way. And especially if you're a creative, this is saying, really put your heart into this because you are at this cycle shift. And whenever we're shifting something, there's a process to it, especially if you're somebody who's out there breaking generational trauma. This card has come out 3 days in a row, the 9 of Swords. So this is about also, really facing your anxiety. And it's interesting because the 9 and the 10 of Swords are out. Let me see if I can go closer with camera with all this. There we go. The 9 and the 10 of Swords are out. 9 is the end. 10 is a 1. So in numerology, 10 is 1 plus 0 equals 1. So 9 is the ending. It's also associated with the planet Mars, which is interesting because it's an ending number associated with a planet of action. So when I look at this Nine of Swords, it's also saying like you could feel like torn between, do I take action, inaction, action, inaction? And that is what this Mercury retrograde is kind of all about. It's like planning for action and allowing yourself to take new action. And I just had a card completely flip over, and I picked the Queen of Pentacles. So she is about sitting in her truth and her power. And it's interesting because I do feel that there's like a lineage here. So this does feel like there's a relational element. This could be familial. I'm having trouble with this camera. It's backwards. It's backwards on this StreamYard for me. So we have the Page of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. Pentacles are about really sitting in the earthy energy, really sitting in your sacred space. And this might mean having to create space for yourself on a daily basis, really taking time to step away from other people, really taking time to be like, you know what? Yes, there's pressure to be XYZ, but I'm going to be in this garden of my own and really plant these seeds on my own, really heal this gathering energy for myself. So there's always a balance between sacred feminine and sacred masculine. And I do think society in general is going through a massive overhaul and shift and a process of what this actually means when it comes to work and career and success, and what that actually means for us on a wellness scale. Because a lot of people are healing generational curses, generational trauma, and that is like a lineage scale that is spread throughout the world. So as we see this, we're going to also see this energy of the sacred feminine really step up and into her power and into her soul source. So if we look at soul source today being the sun in Virgo connecting with Mercury, this starts inward. Affirmations, looking in the mirror. Obviously, I'm doing these videos on the daily basis, so it's like I'm incrementally speaking the same things almost daily with affirmations. But again, like, it is important what we say to ourselves and how that really manifests forward. On Trust Your Glitter podcast today, I had an interview with a good friend of mine, Joe Bando. He's a comedian, and I just think he really hones in on the hermetic laws, how we speak to ourselves, how we live our life in total, like we are the creators of our own destiny. And I think it's interesting because that is what the Queen of Pentacles is saying. And it's interesting because if you're looking at this from generations, it could also be the Page of Cups is like a younger version of you being like, I didn't know I could create that for myself. So let's just kind of conclude. Let me see how many cards want to conclude. The Five of Swords, walking away. So let's see what we're walking away from. And swords, again, are a mental thing, a mental process. The Justice card, who has been popping through. Walking away from a situation, and I think it's interesting because with the Five of Swords, there are two swords on the back of this unicorn that is walking away. So let me see if I can do this as I'm just going to point and look at the card instead of So this little guy has two swords on his back that are strong holding swords. So the way I look at that with the Five of Swords is it's like two sides of your mind are in a relationship. You have a relationship to self, you have a relationship to the outer world, you have a relationship to your sacred feminine, you have a relationship to your sacred masculine, but the core value of yourself, the core strength of yourself is something that you're really holding here as you reflect into the Justice card. So it's interesting because in the Justice card, the balance scale with one sword, it's almost like these two swords fuse into one. It is a mental game. It is a mental process. It's being on your game and being in your heart truth eventually. Sometimes that mind takes priority for a while, and I think we won't really be fully, because right now mind is taking priority over heart, where with Venus going direct, I think when we see Venus enter Virgo in October, there's going to be a real awakening pattern in ourselves. Prince of Pentacles or Page of Pentacles. Interesting that the pages are out. Let me just pick one more card to really clarify this energy. One more card to truly clarify. Well, two popped out. Okay. 2 of Wands and 10 of Wands. New beginnings with the 2 of Wands. 10 of Wands feels like it's primal chakra. So it feels like this again is that generational patterning. And it's like assessing how it really has come out on a physical level. So I do think that when we look at the work we're doing, the internal work, how we're going to take that internal work, 10 of Wands, and bring it out into the worlds. 2 of Wands. Because 2 of Wands is usually like we go from Ace of Wands, 2 of Wands. So it's both new beginnings. It's brand new. This feels brand new. It feels like you're getting your like you don't feel quite confident to do this, but you are in the work and you're in the success. It feels very successful to me. It feels like as you step forward, this feels really good. It feels really solid. There's a foundation here. There's a foundational reality here. So ultimately, let me just do one card to conclude in a different deck. I just want to get like a check and balance here since the Justice card came out. Wow. High Priestess. Here she is, the High Priestess. Value yourself, value your truth, honor yourself, respect yourself. You know what you're doing. You're jumping into the unknown. You know that if you plant these seeds and you grow this garden and you might not know what you're doing, but you've got this. I love these cards today. Very talkative, very chatty, just like Mercury. Just like Mercury. So thank you for joining me. If you would like any personalized readings, I have reading links in the comments. Right now I'm taking bookings on my Linktree, and you can there's little intake forms on there, and I have all my price points listed for every price point, every type of reading, and you can just directly book with me on Linktree/TrustYourglitter. So thank you for listening. I hope you have an amazing day and enjoy this Kazemi ahead. Well, actually, enjoy this Kazemi.